Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the sYourTouch podcast, covering all things Scottish women's football. Another round of SWPL action for us to chat about. I'm Peter, as always, and joined by Matt. How you doing, Matt? Back from your freshly back from your trip. How was your trip?
Was the most awkward sentence. Fine. In a shocking turn of events, I have
Jesus
the flu.
Christ. How did you get the flu?
I don't know. I think the one time I went into the office in the last year and a half, because someone I work with also has the flu. So I'm blaming that. It's not been fun. If there are any really awkward cuts in this, it'll be because I have a coughing fit.
Yeah.
But
maybe it was because you just went to England.
Yeah, I mean the flu started before I went to England, and it's continued since I got back. So I would say probably not.
Chemical warfare.
But,
Nice.
Yeah. But no, it's good. I went to Lindisfarne, which is fun.
Who's
but
Linda?
less fun for it.
I feel like I made a joke last week.
No. But it's fun. Less fun for Amy. You drive through the sea. Like, the tide goes out.
Oh, and then you have to send it.
In Edinburgh where there's that island that you can get to when the tide is low, and then
how tides work.
Everyone gets stuck. Yeah, and everyone gets stuck at that island. It's like that, but you drive to it.
Mad.
So when the tide is low, the road gets exposed, and it's a bizarre experience. The sat nav's like, you're in the middle of the sea. It's like, just not though. So let's go and see the castle, hang around, do a walk and stuff. Just hung around Northumberland, went to Sunderland and Newcastle. Both just big Dundees. Don't get the hype. Had a really good Euro in Newcastle, to be fair. But otherwise, just big Dundee.
Fair enough.
So that's my review of Northumberland.
You had an enjoyable time.
Would highly recommend the Northumberland College Zoo. That was the highlight. We did that on the day we drove back up. It's a zoo run by the college, so they do their
really Northumberland
sheep.
No way.
They do their vet courses and sheep management and stuff, and then also I guess zoo courses. They've got a zoo, but it's lots of animals that are comfortable in the conditions of the UK. A lot of conservation-y stuff. And we got to see Australian Bird of the Year, the Tony Frogmouth, in the flesh. What a bird. What a bird.
That's the species of bird which is the Bird of the Year? Or, yeah. Wait, so that's
The Guardian.
Or that very specific bird won Bird of the Year?
The Guardian Australia do a vote every 2 years for Bird of the Year.
So it's Bird
I've said it should be biennial. Yeah, right. But every 2 years they do a vote for Bird of the Year. It's to do with the Australian bird count, so when they go and count all the birds. And the Tony Frogmouth has been runner-up the last 3 times, and it won this year as a species.
So it's a species of biannual.
This is a football podcast. But real cool bird, little guy, massive mouth. Love him.
Why is it in Northumberland then?
It's a zoo. There were also kookaburras and wallabies and lemurs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a nice time. Did lots of other stuff. I ate my first ever. My mind's gone blank. What's the thing? Comes in a shell. Usually eat it raw.
Oyster.
Yes, I ate my first ever oyster.
Did you like it?
I did actually quite like it.
Really? It was fried. Oysters, man.
It was lightly battered and fried. So it just kind of camping.
The deep fried oyster. Lightly battered and fried. Come on, deep fried oyster.
Yeah.
That sounds like I've only had fresh oysters. Not good.
I don't think I'm ever going to be brave enough to have a fresh oyster.
Tastes like a booger.
Yeah, it freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah. How are you?
I'm alright. Do all that weird shit that you did with your time. It's my yoga studio's 4th birthday, so I went to the pub.
What?
It was fun.
So did you not go to yoga?
Right. Yeah, I went to yoga first, and then I went to the pub, and then I went to Edinburgh as well. Drove through Edinburgh. Don't like driving to Edinburgh. Everyone in Edinburgh, rude drivers.
Did you do anything fun? Or
No, I was
did you
going to go
just
see a
drive to
friend.
Edinburgh back
Just
for laughs?
we just went to see a friend for some food. All the while trying to avoid the SWPL games. But yeah, it was alright. Didn't mind it. But yeah, then we got back and we put our focus on football. I didn't put my focus on football. Did you?
I was watching the Hibs Motherwell game on my phone in the car. It
Lovely.
made me. That's the most car sick I've ever felt in my life because the angle at K Park is so low,
Yeah.
and the camera kept doing the thing that Hibs streams do, where it's like panning too fast and it comes up as a big thing.
Mm.
So I was like sat in the car while Amy drove, and I was just watching it. While she had a brutal time because obviously she'd been driving for like 4 hours.
You should
But I can't
learn
take
how to
over.
drive because you're an adult.
But then she'll ask me to take over. So um,
That's fair
so
enough.
yeah, so I watched that on in the car. It was a good time.
Fair enough.
And then caught up on the games this morning slash last night. Wait, what day is it?
It's it's Tuesday, my dude.
Tuesday. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was off on Monday, so I spent Monday relaxing.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Well, we'll chat about everything that we thought about of the games that we did see, apart from uh, the ones that we don't. As always, that's just the way we do things. So yeah, I guess quick break. We'll come right back and we will talk all things SWPL 1. Before we do SWPL 1 stuff, actually, let's chat some SWPL, some SWNT national team news, particularly under 23s. It's not really that interesting news, to be honest with you. Mickey McAloney and Abby Ferguson called up to the 23 squad.
Common sense prevails,
Yeah, I feel like
in my opinion.
fair enough. I feel like you want to talk about that just because it was two ex-Hibs players.
Yeah, I mean it's also a little bit. Um, I don't know why Emma Watson's pulled out, and I'm a little bit curious and also mildly concerned because she's obviously fantastic, and we want her to be fully fit for the senior national team. She played 46 minutes for Palace, came off as a planned sub, did the post match. There's no indication that she's injured, but has pulled out of the national team after speaking about
Maybe
how
she doesn't.
excited she was to play for Scotland.
Maybe she doesn't want to play
Like,
for the
so I,
23s.
yeah, but she did a big interview like as soon as it was
Yeah,
announced, being like, "I'm so proud to represent my country." Blah, blah. So I feel like that can't be the case, and I'm just concerned that maybe she's carrying something or needs more time to um, recover. I guess. Jasmine McQuaid pulling out, I'm kind of like indifferent about because I feel like she shouldn't have been called up in the first place. I just feel like it was a weird call up to make. So
yeah, kind of random. Doesn't really
I'm
help us at all.
not happy that she's injured, but I'm kind of like indifferent about her playing for Scotland because I don't feel like she'd ever play for the senior national team, which I think is the major.
There's that flu cough coming.
Yeah, the major bet.
That's how much he doesn't want Jasmine McQuaid to play for the first national team. Yeah, fair enough. Well, I guess the kind of main stuff for the 23s, those games still coming up end of the month.
This
Yeah,
weekend.
this weekend actually, yeah, actually good point. This weekend as you are listening to it. But yeah, anyway, to keep on track with SWPL stuff, things that we were talking about, probably the major game for the weekend, Celtic v Glasgow City. Glasgow City beating Celtic 2-1. Another very tight. Not asked Lane Sadiku yet, obviously, but I feel like when I talk to Lane Sadiku, what she will say is it's just another tight game, which is what she said now since August
It's not what she'll say
2024.
though, because what she'll say is that they don't have enough money and they can't compete with
That's
the
not what she'll say.
massive financial power of Glasgow City. Because that's what she
She
said
will say
post
that.
match.
Yeah, well,
Because
she says
it
these things,
plays to
but yeah,
the Celtic fans who have upset or been upset recently about the men's team.
mm-hmm.
So it's just what she says, because then it means that no one criticises her when she signed a 33-year-old Lisa Robertson to play at left back, while Ashlyn Strycek, who is a fullback, plays at left midfield, and Hannah Luke sits on the bench. But she's not got the money. She doesn't have the resources to compete with Glasgow City, the might of Glasgow City with their massive men's team that give them billions of pounds every year,
Hmm.
or Hibs, who have a lower budget than her, or Hearts, who have a lower budget than her. So basically, the complaint is that they don't spend as much as Rangers, but it could have been 4-0.
I'm not
And
saying
the
this is the
and the
truth.
goal
I'm just
comes
telling you
from
what Elena Sadiku
yeah.
would say.
Mm-hmm.
But how
That's
can
my
it?
point.
But it
Is
gets
that
to a point where it's been since Celtic haven't beaten City, Rangers, or Hibs um, since August 2024. So at
yeah?
some
I
point,
mean,
it
this
stops
was
very much being just tight games and starts being very much a pattern of you just can't beat these teams.
it's game state as well. Like City were 2-0 up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Away from home, they're 2-0 up. They don't need to go hell for leather and score another five. Celtic are
Hmm.
then throwing the kitchen sink at it at home,
Yeah.
and they get a goal through good fortune more than good pressing, I would say. Um, Kim Smith makes an absolute mess of it in defence, but I mean, it was predictable. I just don't understand how Sadiku can't see that this is entirely set up, and I'm not going to say her fault because I think Celtic generally could have played better and a lot of the players could have done more. But Lisa Robertson is a midfielder. She's been a midfielder for probably 5 years now, at the very
More than
least.
that, probably. Yeah. But
More than that. She's 33, and you're putting her up against Sophia Mata, who is probably the quickest player in the league. Certainly
yeah.
very high up the list of quick players in the league, in exceptional form for Glasgow City. The way that she's come on this season, especially, has been incredible. And Ross has done a great job in terms of her development. And both goals come from her getting caught out. Like, Strychek also does not paint herself in glory because should be tracking the run on the Lisa Evans one.
Hmm.
But the Mata goal, she's nowhere to be seen because she's caught flat-footed. One, because she's not a left back. Two, because she's not quick enough to compete with Sophia Mata. And it's just like, as soon as you see the lineups, you could have said, "Oh, Celtic are going to see twice, and they're both going to come down their left-hand side." You
Yeah,
know
the
what I
Lisa
mean?
Robertson thing is weird, especially because it was said that it was just a temporary thing about two
It
months ago.
wasn't working
So yeah.
when it was said it was a temporary thing. It wasn't working then. It's still not working. It's this season's Emma Lawton at centre back. It's Elena Sadiku being like, "Oh, I'm so smart. I'm going to do this," and it doesn't work. And then she goes, "Actually, no. I know better than everyone that's saying it's not working, so I'm going to keep doing it." And it's like it's not working. Emma Lawton at centre back did not work. You know what I mean? Like neither of them are good things. I don't understand why, especially when you've got two left backs. Like it's not like there's not a left back at the club. It's not like Lisa Robertson's not needed in midfield.
Hmm.
Momo Cow gets absolutely swarmed in this game, as predicted when she signed by me because I didn't really see the vibe, considering she'd never played professional football in her life and is a diminutive, not very physical midfielder.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't
As
think
a
Mona
lone
Cow
as a
is.
lone six. No, but as a
Yeah,
lone
the lone
six,
six is, I
I
think, your
I said
point. Yeah.
it wasn't going to work in the big games, and then it doesn't. And it's like I don't see why I don't see how you can watch that as as a coach and be like, yeah, Lisa Robertson's needed at left back more than she's needed next to Momo Nakao, for
Hmm. Hmm.
example, and also how you watch Hannah Luke, for example, on her debut, or even the game against Hibs where she wasn't the greatest but gets an assist and go, yeah, she's not good enough for SWPL one. I'm gonna basically immediately give up on her. You know, like Elena Sadiku has done with a lot of the players that she signed. You know, Grace Quarters barely made the team, and it's not like Claire Walsh and Kelly Clark have been playing out their skin. And then against
Yeah, I
Glasgow
guess.
City, where you've got a big physical team that you know are going to be dominant from set piece situations, I don't understand why you're not then bringing in someone of her height, or using Strichek in defence because of her height and things like that. And yeah, I know there are injury issues at Celtic. Um, I would say that if a team is consistently getting lots of injuries, the manager I think some of that has to be put on the manager because they must be doing something that is making that like worse. Um, but I just really don't understand. what's going on at Celtic, and then like the recruitment as well. We know Sadiku does all the recruitment. Sophia Matt has been signed from the second tier in Norway. So if you're saying, "Oh, we don't have the resources" after the game, it's not like City are spending big money on players in the WSL or they're bringing in someone that you should have been able to identify. You know, like I'm bewildered by Celtic because I feel like they could have gone top in this game. There were green
Yeah.
shoots again, and then it's like, oh, actually, no, not really, because City should have won this game more comfortably.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know really what to say about Celtic, to be fair. I guess Elena's thing start of the year had been about consistency. As you say, like Celtic they could have gone top this game with a better performance. So I guess it's not that they're miles off it. So I think it's weird. I think it kind of adds to the point where this like saying you don't have the resources excuse is kind of strange because on another day you put in a good performance, you win that game. Say you just get lucky, win the game, you're top of the table, and then resources are never even
I don't think
mentioned.
they do
So
because they're only like City only faced 3 shots on target
no,
in the
but
whole
no,
game.
not that Celtic would how that game panned out could have won that game as well. I just mean a completely different scenario. This is why I'm saying the resource competition is a stupid argument anyway.
Mhm.
Because on another weekend, another game, Celtic just win the game. Just how football is, they could win that game
Yeah,
and they
if
go
Fran
top,
Alonso
and
was in
then
charge,
resources are
I
never a
think
thing.
Celtic might have won that game.
Like
And
even with
I
Elena Sadiku
genuinely
in
think.
charge, the same 11 players on the pitch, there is a world in which Celtic win that game of football.
I get what you're saying. I think I think the thing about they could play that game again and win it. I don't think the setup was wrong from the start. That's what I mean by I
I
think
know.
Fran Alonso wins that game with the same group of players
Yeah, but that's what I'm
because
saying to you about. Like,
Fran
I'm not
Alonso is
saying,
not playing Lisa Robertson as left back. Like,
but
you know what I
I'm
mean?
not talking, I'm not necessarily specifically talking about setup and things right now. I'm just talking about this idea about the resources at Celtic. That Celtic have the players
That's what I
to win
mean.
that game
Like,
with
that's what I
Elena
mean by
Sadiku in charge because that's how
probably,
resources
but
work. It doesn't matter
she,
who's in charge; it's the resources. They
yeah,
have the resources to win the game, and they would have gone top. And therefore, she never even
probably, but
mentions resources.
she would probably have had to make different decisions. That's my point. Is like, it isn't like teams are spending, other than Rangers, who we know are spending the most in the league, and it's not really that close.
Hmm.
But even their budget is decreased recently. Like, it's not like anyone's light years ahead of Celtic. Like, I feel like this is the thing where I do find it very weird, and I do think it is just because she knows there is the discontent on the men's side. The protests against the board, the loud shouts from the board, the snidey comments from Brendan Rodgers when things don't go his way about how he's facing Ferraris when he's playing Dundee. Um, like I think she knows that's happening, and it means that Celtic fans then don't criticise her. And I do think there was a period where she went 6 games without a win. I don't think another manager in the league could get away with that without like significant without it being like this
Yeah,
is
no, Elena Sadiku is getting a
final
lot, and
warning
also
kind of
there's
business.
also the point
I
of the
think she's got
Celtics,
quite a
the
long
critique on
leash.
Celtic at the moment. This is her last year of her contract, and
Mm.
I brought it up in a press a couple of weeks back, and I don't know. I mean, it wasn't she didn't wasn't bothered by the question at all, but it was kind of a weird. No one else was even thinking about that question, and it seems bizarre that even the fans don't mentioning it. That from a Celtic point of view, as a whole club, there is no like Elena Sadiku, whether you like her or not, at the end of the year will not be Celtic manager, and
Would you give her a new
what
contract
um
today? Like,
yeah, I don't know if I would.
obviously,
I probably would. But
probably give the.
that's not really my point about whether or not she deserves any content. My point is that Celtic are heading 8 months away now from
Mm.
not having a manager. And a manager at Celtic for some reason has complete control of everything a women's team runs. Yet there's no furore about like what's happening at Celtic, what's the structure, what's the plan
Yeah, I do
outside
think
of
that's.
Sadiku as the manager. So
Yeah, I do think some of that though is like that is just the way that women's football is at the moment. Because I mean, Grant Scott was, in his last year, last season, or the season before, whatever it was, and say Eva Olid's been in her last year constantly. It's like and she's someone who's in high demand. Joe Potter was going into her last year until Crystal Palace bought out her contract and so on. Like, I don't think it's. I feel like her being in her last year of her contract's not the mismanagement bit. It's the fact that she's in charge of everything. I know the fact that she openly says that like she DMs players on Instagram,
Yeah.
for recruitment. Like, not only is that like just bad in general, that's very close, like skirting on the edge of the rules when it comes to contacting players as a manager, like the transfer rules. Like, it brings the whole club into a little bit of a, UEFA coming in and being like, here's a transfer ban.
Yeah, so I
If
think Celtic get away with no one really focusing too much on it
yeah,
from even like UEFA's point of view.
yeah. So that's I would be concerned. I wouldn't give her any contract. I don't think if I was in charge, because I think there's all the things that like all the positives came in the 4 months when she came in to replace Fran between then and the end of the season. Since
Well,
then, it's been a lot of weird decisions and then not backing down from the weird decisions and poor results in big games. And we obviously speak about the Old Firm results specifically because they're hugely relevant to the Celtic seasons. But like, since the start of last season, so her first full season, Celtic have lost 10 times against Hearts, Hibs, or Rangers or Glasgow City, and drawn 5. They've only won 4. Like, that's not even. You can't qualify for the Champions League on that. Never mind win the league. In that time, that's just in the league. But if you extend that to the cups, it would be the same. It's not like there's some, you know, huge thing, and it's not like it's bad. And I want to say, like City, I'm wondering who can put a glove on them this season because they look unbelievable. They looked unbelievable midweek in the Europa Cup. The sort of desire and fight to get back into that game and to win that game, the depth of their squad that they showed to win that game was just incredible. It's one of the most bonkers things I've ever seen in football. I think them getting through the Europa Cup, but like, aside from the draw against Hibs, which Hibs will feel they should have won, City will feel they should have won. A draw is probably fair. Like, other than that, they've not even blinked. Like, and that's including Lanagola being sent off for Dogso twice, Kim Smith making an error leading directly to a goal in this game. Like, other than centre back brain farts, they have just been so far beyond every team, and they're unbeaten going into this international break. They've played everyone once. I'm just like, I really am. I want to emphasize I'm in awe of how good Glasgow City look, but equally, nothing they did in this game to win the game comes from them having to be that good. Like, the ball from Kozlova to Mata is unbelievable, but she could have underhit that pass, she could have overhit that pass, she could have, put it too close to Mata, behind Mata, wherever, too close to the byline. No Celtic player was getting to it because no one was anywhere near her. No one even knew she was there. And that is just like astounding. And it all comes from Sadiku once again playing a player out of position, a player that she specifically signed. And she has then since signed 2 left backs, neither of whom are playing in that position. One of them is playing on the wing. And it's that sort of thing where it's like, that's a pattern that we've seen throughout her tenure. And that's why I would say I wouldn't give her a new contract, because like, there's so much where I'm like, I just don't understand what she sees. Like, on a pitch, and when she speaks, I'm always a bit like, it's like she's trying to play mind games, but I feel like you can't play mind games when you're losing so often.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
fair. I
mean? It
mean,
just doesn't
yeah,
work.
yeah. I mean, the plan wasn't necessarily to go in on whether or not Sadiku should get any contract or not. To be fair, but
Yeah.
I guess from again,
It's early in the season. You go and win a double, and then
but I guess going on to what you're saying there about City as well, because spoke a lot about Celtic there. City obviously now 25 points in the table, 5 points clear of Hibs in second, through to the Europa Cup proper, through in the cups. We're potentially
Yeah.
looking like on current form. I say we've only played each other once, but that's pretty good sample size. Everyone wants. You're looking at this is the form of City of like the 2010s kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
you're
no,
looking at an
100%.
unbeaten treble kind of thing here. They're the
Yeah,
only
I
team with
feel like
like the consistency, the squad depth, the quality, the consistency, and the like structure as a whole that you can think can actually go the whole way. So
yeah, I would be surprised if they went unbeaten, mostly just because of the centre backs. They are prone to doing something really stupid.
yeah, but then they've got Kozlova and Matter and
But
Harrison and
yeah,
Forrest and Evans and
yeah,
so
Harrison as well. Like, not to go back
Harrison
and
pissed me
dig the
off.
knife in deeper, but like Sadiku decided Harrison wasn't good enough, barely played her,
Yeah,
you know,
and now she's yeah.
and then let her go. And it's very similar to what Hearts did with McGovern. Went, oh, we can
Mm-hmm.
do better than that, and then went and
Then
signed
you said they
someone.
can't. Yeah.
Went and signed someone from somewhere else. Hearts obviously went down south. Sadiku, as he always does, goes to the US college system.
Mm-hmm.
And oh look, actually, it was worse. Like, I just find it bizarre. But yeah, City are great. I doubt they'd go unbeaten. Partly because obviously it's like that'd be crazy. Especially when you play the top, the top five obviously played each other 4 times with the split.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think a treble as well is like I don't think we'll see a team do a treble ever again.
It would be
Potentially
yeah.
with
I
the
agree. It would
league
be very
being 32
surprising if
games.
they managed it, but the only team I think that are capable of doing it are City. So
Yeah, City are so far clear the favourites of the league now. Hibs, despite not being the team they were last season, are sat in second. So,
yeah, yeah,
what can
yeah.
we say?
Looks like we're back to the old ways. Back to the old ways.
Yeah, but yes, I mean City are unbelievable. I mean, we'll see if they can keep it up after the international breaks. Probably the worst thing for them is that their season is going to be because they have so many good players.
Yeah.
They leave and go off into international duty, so they are going to be disrupted by that, and their form will be disrupted by that because players aren't all going to go and have great experience on international duty. Obviously. So that is also that's the other thing. Is can they keep it up despite that? I
But I
think
think City have the best like structure to deal with all that stuff, which is a ridiculous thing to say,
I
given
think
that they're the like
they've
independent
got a
club,
lot
but
of
they've got the facilities more so than these other clubs in that
yeah, and
if
they've
Celtic
got
player goes against a bat, it's only Elena to deal with it kind of thing, rather than they'll have all the stuff.
yeah. They could also put out basically a starting 11 they could put out a starting 11 that basically haven't gone
Mm-hmm.
into international duty and
Yeah.
probably still beat 90% of the teams in the league. Like
Mm-hmm.
they've
Mm-hmm.
got a really good deep squad, and not all of them get called up for one reason or another. I mean, like in Kim Smith's case, I feel like Netherlands are probably justified
Mm-hmm.
because they've got like Dominique Janssen. But yeah, they've got a really good setup for that. So yes, but I do think that's probably the big question. And then obviously, can they keep everyone fit as well? It was the big question looming over Hibs for so long. Now it's the question that looms over City. They probably have the squad more so than Hibs to deal with it, but it's still, because Lova gets injured and you're looking at that attack and going, okay, MLD
Mm-hmm.
Whelan is great. Can she carry the attack herself, or Mata
Mm-hmm.
or Forrest? Like, can one of them really step up? Um,
Yeah, fair.
but yeah, international break wise, I think it's come at a really good time for Celtic. Um, Another left back, Amy Richardson, doesn't get on the pitch in this game. She's off on Wales duty
Yeah,
again
yeah.
after getting her first call up when she was a part of Thistle. You know, they've got two really tough games against Australia and do they play England? I want to say they play Australia and England, but I think Australia might
I
be
know, I
playing
don't
England.
care.
I can't
So
I can't remember. But they play Australia, and that's obviously going to be a tough game
mm-hmm.
for Wales. But it'll be a good experience for her, and maybe she makes her debut. Maybe she puts in a good performance. Maybe Elena Sadiku realizes that one of the three left backs in her squad is better than playing a 33-year-old defensive midfielder there. Just
let's not
maybe a
let's not
suggestion.
let's not hold our breath too long.
No,
But yeah,
but like, yeah, I think it's come a good time for Celtic, and then probably also a good time for Hibs and Rangers, just because a couple of players get back a bit more fit because they don't get called up if they're at Hibs, and Rangers have a squad of about 25.
yeah, fair. Well, looking at that league there, you got Rangers, Celtic, and Hibs all on 19 points, and Hibs on 20, which is kind of crazy. But then we're going down to that kind of bottom six, or bottom. I don't know how.
Well,
It's
it's the
not bottom
bottom
6
four,
anymore.
but the bottom
Bottom
this is the
4.
bottom 5.
Piss me off, right? Anyway, Montrose currently sitting in 6th with 9 points, particularly relevant after a good 2-0 win over Partick Thistle. KMN coming in clutch again, a double for Montrose to beat Thistle. Yeah, another good performance from Craig Feroz's team. Probably currently on, as same as what we're saying about City, like obviously I know it's only been the first 9 games, but probably the best placed currently as it's gone to get that 6th spot.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think what's interesting about Montrose is that every other team around them in the race for 6th are doing the whole like we want to be a footballing team thing, which everyone knows I hate because anti-woke football brigade. But
Keep woke ideologies out.
yeah, like every stop this nonsense. Passing out from the back, like Aberdeen once again conceded because of passing out from the back. Like, you know, a
Katie Cox.
pass that was too short. Katie Cox didn't get anywhere near it. Probably shouldn't have come out. Intercepted, put in. And I would like to reiterate, I do think that she should be dropped. I really do not understand how she's still in goal for Aberdeen.
Anyway,
The game against
Montrose.
Hearts. We should have been talking about the game against Hearts because that, like, they're making such big noises, and Aberdeen should be able to compete with Hearts now. And got battered
Well, not
again.
should, but they talk a
With
big
their
game out of the team.
investment,
They don't have the.
with their investment with Scott Booth in charge, they should be putting up a better fight against Hearts
Yeah,
than
better fight.
scoring a goal that definitely did not cross the line. But Hearts know all about that, so it's fine.
Yes.
And so did Montrose because they conceded it. But yeah, Montrose, like, they did the Thistle what Thistle are so famous for doing. They outpressed them, they outworked them, they got a little bit of luck, but you know, you need a little bit of luck sometimes, and you don't need all the possession, you don't need all the shots if you're going to restrict the opposition to shooting from, you know, like half volleys from like 25 yards out, which is what we saw
Yeah.
from Rachel Donaldson. Like, she was just hitting pot shots because it was getting frustrating. And, you know, Montrose were just clinical and did really well on the counter. Demi Taylor put in a really good cross for the first goal. It's a really good header. Thistle wanted a handball in the build-up. I feel like it would have been harsh. And I think it's one of those where it's like, if the ball accidentally hits somebody's hand at the halfway line and then that person scores from 8 yards out, is it because you didn't get the handball call at the halfway line, or is it because you didn't defend that well enough? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I guess it's the concerning thing for Thistle probably from that looking at this. So he's only scored 5 goals
yeah, well, they're in
in
the
the
relegation
9
zone.
games
They've
in the
not
league.
won
So
since the opening day.
no.
Like, that is beyond, you know, if you'd have said that before the season started, neither of us would have believed you, even knowing they had a new manager coming in. Like, I'm perplexed. Them and Aberdeen, like, you look at their squads and you sort of look at where their positions are and you sort of go, what do you mean they're struggling so much? And Thistle particularly, like, yeah, to say that they've not won since they played Hamilton Accies,
Yeah, it's
like,
pretty
that's
bad.
how you get
It's
relegated.
because it's
Like,
interesting
even,
from
you know, with the
from
playoff.
it's interesting from Montrose's point of view. Like obviously we're saying that we're giving them a lot of credit for getting to that 6th spot and things, but it's not as if they've even been particularly amazing. They've conceded 30 goals, only scored 9. You know, realistically they're only 6th because the form of Aberdeen and Thistle has been particularly
Yeah.
poor, and Motherwell have been inconsistent as we spoke about. But
At this
you
point, I
know,
don't think Motherwell have been inconsistent. They've regressed against the top teams, I think.
yeah. But like for Montrose, like,
Um,
I guess you got to give Montrose credit because they've taken the advantage of the poor perform other teams more
yeah,
than other teams taking advantage of that. But it's not as
I
if we're seeing a Montrose team challenge in the top 6. They're just or 6th
yeah.
kind of thing.
By the time this podcast comes out, it'll be Thursday. So, an article's coming out this week at some point, um, about the first 9 games. Because obviously now everyone's played each other once. We can sort of have a look at what we've learned. One of the things I think that is stark this season is the widening of the gap between the top 5 and bottom 5. And I think it's something we spoke about this time of the year last season. And when you actually looked into the figures, it was negligible. Like the gap had grown, but not really by anything. It was only basically just the bottom two teams were really bad. Was essentially what happened. The gap wasn't actually that big, and those teams were putting up a fight. I think this is the key thing for me, is that those teams were putting up a fight and were, last season part of this took points off Hibs in the opening 11 games of the season, so the first round. This season they're not. This season they're getting thrashed, and I think it's something that I don't know. I've not written it entirely yet, so I've not really looked into sort of the why, but I find it odd because of the fact that this season there has been, or there's been perceived to be a stall in the investment in the top five, and people thinking that the league has potentially not even that the league has just stalled, that it's gone backwards in quality in the top five. The bottom five have seen teams invest quite heavily to the point where some managers within the league would call, two or three of them full time as opposed to being part time or amateur.
Yeah.
And they've gotten worse. And that's where I can't put my finger on it. I don't know I just can't understand what the problem is. And we've spoken so much about it being maybe a mental block, but then how do you explain Part of Thistle? Because they were the ones that didn't have the mental block. How do you explain Aberdeen, who have a manager in charge who's got such good experience and knows how to set up a team, and now is playing a centre back up front?
Yeah.
And
well,
it's like,
it's worrying because I'm hoping that it improves. Obviously, your article will come up. I'm hoping that it improves the rest of the season, but it is very much a top five, bottom five, and the gap is split is so massive. And you hear managers and other players and things like talking, and what they say to people. It feels like they almost all see the top five as a separate league. There's the SWPL 1A, and then there's the SWPL 1B, and there's just two separate leagues. And it's concerning that playing staff and coaching staff would almost talk about it in those terms when it is one league. But then you also find it bleeds into things like you and me that we were talking about it, obviously picking our 5 of the week this week. And Katie Wilkinson gets in and scores 5 goals against Aki's. But there was a moment where we were like, well, 5 goals, but it's against...
I still wouldn't have put her in. I only put her in because you told me to.
Yeah. But it's because I feel that that's us getting into that trap of it's a different league entirely. The Aki's, all these things, they are still SWPL. They're still the top tier teams in Scotland, and so should be treated as such, and so should act as such. But I just don't think a lot of them do act as such and get treated as such. So
and that's what I mean. Like when we spoke last week, obviously Motherwell just come off the back of getting beaten 9-0 by Hibs in the cup. That's not even Aki's losing 11-0 at Ibrox. Okay, unacceptable. I think everyone would accept that. That is a scoreline that, in my opinion, cannot happen unless teams just totally switch off and just go, I can't be bothered now. You've conceded 4 and you just go, right, we're not winning this game, and you just don't try for the rest of the game. Because otherwise there's no way a team is scoring against you, every 8 minutes. That's that's so quick. It takes about 4 minutes to run from the halfway line to the box. And for me, not for a footballer, you know what I mean? For a kickoff to happen, the other team to win the ball back, get the ball, transition all the way to the other side of the pitch,
celebrations, passing, reset.
That's all happening so quickly, and that's just so far from being okay. But you can sort of understand it when it's Aki's, who have by far the least amount of money in the league. Not even close. And Rangers' budget will be, more than 10,
but
maybe even 20, 30, 40 times that.
There isn't a
but
world
when it's
where
Motherwell,
it's
Motherwell,
I put
ridiculous.
But I treat everyone knows Aki's situation, and it's a particular case, I suppose. But I would treat Aki's and Motherwell result the same. I don't think there's a world in which
Well,
an
I would
SWPL
say if you
1
look,
team should beat another
it's
SWPL 1 team by double figures.
I think that's what I mean. It's totally unacceptable for Rockies, but you can sort of go, okay, I can maybe understand why it's happened. But when it's Motherwell who want to compete in the top six, they want to become a top five team. They want to, they want to progress, and they've constantly spoken about learning from the losses that they took post split last season, and then they've come into this season and been worse. And they've played Hibs, and I don't know how I like if I was a manager and my team had been beaten 5-0 and the opposition manager had come out and been like, we weren't very good today, as Grant Scott did on the weekend. I would be like, what am I doing? Like, because that isn't just, especially when it's like, oh, Montrose ready. Like, Montrose, who were rightfully, I think, one of the relegation favourites at the start of the season, you know, and that's not I think Montrose have some really, really good players. Kilmarnock in this game totally ran the show, as she did against Motherwell, for example. But their ambition was at the start of the season wasn't to break into the top five. Motherwell's was,
No,
Aberdeen's was,
was. Yeah.
and that's where I'm
Thistles
like,
probably was as well.
I can maybe give Aki's a bit of leeway because their ambition was just, can we not come bottom? And it wasn't even like our ambition is to not come bottom. It was, let's try and not come bottom, or let's
Yeah.
fight for not coming bottom. Which I think they're failing to do currently. But I can understand them getting beat heavily. The manner is disappointing, and then I'd say the same for Motherwell, same for the rest of that. I just don't understand what's happened this summer, and we've obviously repeated a few times. Like maybe the restructure is the reason. I feel like that's maybe too much. The regression has been so big, it can't just be form. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
it's
can't
because
just be that you've not had 2 games on the bounce against Dundee United and Queens Park.
but it's weird because we've also
Because
spoken about Celtic playing poorer, Rangers being poorer, but they still they're
well,
beating these teams easier than they have done ever before.
yeah,
So
and you
it's a
look at
very
the cup
strange.
games. Kilmarnock gave Aberdeen a really good game,
Mm-hmm.
and will have been disappointed to have ended up losing 3-1. Spartans only lost 2-1 to Celtic. If Spartans can hold Celtic to a 2-1, and yes, we've just had a long conversation about how Celtic are not as good as they think they are, but like they're still, you know, trying to win the SWPL one title,
Yeah,
coming up against a team who are struggling to score in SWPL two, which we'll get onto in a minute, and finding it difficult. And it's not even like they rotated that much. It was
yeah.
basically
Well,
Celtic's first team.
that's
So
potentially a good segue
yeah,
into SWPL two stuff because um like the SWPL two is so competitive and has been so competitive for quite a while that you talk about that Kilmarnock Aberdeen game or the Spartan Celtic game. It's potentially a case that these teams are benefiting from a competitive league where everybody sees themselves on the same footing, apart from maybe
mhm.
like Stirling and East Fife. But the rest of the teams to start the season would all probably say they're on a similar footing. And they all are very much going for it each game. And it's very competitive, so that when they are playing Aberdeen, who for half of the season just chuck it and go, we're playing Rangers at Ibrox, so whatever. Um,
Mhm.
so they're not in the mindset. So when they do play against Kilmarnock, yes, obviously they got the win against Kilmarnock and deservedly so probably, and I win the cup, and that's all good. But if if teams are beating Aberdeen 8-0 in SWPL 1, then Aberdeen should be beating teams in SWPL 2 by multiple goals to nil. And they weren't. And the
Well,
same with
the
Celtic and
difference in
Spartans in
budget will
particular.
be
So,
basically the same,
but the same with Celtic with
like
Spartans. Like
between Aberdeen and
Spartans
Killie.
coming in good form, confident, playing competitive games every week. Celtic going into it a bit lethargic, playing non-competitive games sometimes. It's you could like I don't think it was surprising that Spartans ran Celtic close, to be honest.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, let's go into basketball 2 because it is more exciting than that kind of depressing 5-5 thing.
Just before we do, I want to mention I was a genuinely Kilmarnock sort of shimmy that she did with Hannah Innes after the game was amazing. More of that, please.
Yes.
Mel Andrata needs to call up Ellis Notley like yesterday because this is ridiculous now.
Yeah.
4 goal
Well,
contributions is
listen,
nuts.
you got Abby Ferguson called up, so we can get us not called up.
Yeah. I would like to see Amy Rogers get a goal and 3 assists in one half of football.
It'd be in a dream. But right, let's take a quick break, come back, chat through some of this SWPL 2 stuff. Yeah, so full round of fixtures in the SWPL 2 as well. As discussed, a much more exciting competitive league where everybody's feeling it. Not least Kilmarnock, who are now sitting very pretty top of the league after a pretty decent win over Spartans, 1-0 in the end for Kilmarnock, and that puts them 5 points clear of Bournemouth, Hizzle and Spartans. So it's very good. Still not lost a game all season, Kilmarnock, which is going very good. But yeah, I think as you mentioned previously, Spartans, it's a couple of games in a row now struggling to score goals.
Yeah, I mean, before that, I wanted to mention that there's no highlights again, and I'm sad because please make it easier to talk about your league because SWPL2 is great. I do want to shout about it as much as possible, and that's so much easier when there's highlights, um, even if they're kind of not great. I know it's obviously not as easy as just clicking your fingers and highlights happening,
Mm-hmm.
but we know the games are recorded because the goals come out. So um, it'd be nice if we could just get like a little 5-minute video of like some key things that happened, even if it's like super biased towards the home team, so that even when they lose 7-0, it looks like they battered the opposition. I don't mind. Just, there's so many great players in SWL2 that deserve the platform. So SWL2 teams, if you're listening, please, can we start having highlights again? You used to do it. This is where I find it odd. This is not like I'm asking you to do something you've never done before. We used to get highlights, and now we don't, and it's the same teams. So anyway, but yeah, I don't know what Spartan's problem is. We obviously spoke a lot last season. They were really, really reliant on Hannah Jordan
Yeah.
for goals and assists, or even just general attacking play. She, I don't mean this disrespectfully to the rest of the team, was a very obvious step up from everyone else, like a totally different
Mm-hmm.
level, as evidenced by the fact that Hibson went and signed her. Like, I don't think that that's something that would have happened if she wasn't. And I think maybe there's just this is just the impact of the fact that they've gone from being so heavily reliant on one player to now having to figure out how to do it themselves. Without her, and they've
Mm-hmm.
brought in some really good, like Natalie Bandura, fantastic striker. Olivia Hurrell, also a great striker at this level. But I don't know if they've necessarily worked out how to, really do it yet, and they've had a couple injury issues and things. So yeah, I don't know. The problem is they
Potentially.
need to sort it out like
Mm-hmm.
today because there's not going to be much leeway in terms of the guaranteed promotion spot of first. So Jack Beasley really needs to figure it out, and they've clearly got something good going defensively. I know they obviously lose this game, but it's only 1-0. They've conceded the least amount of goals in the league, I think, by a distance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like So defensively, they've clearly got it down sorted, but maybe they need to like release some of that control to be a bit more expansive going forward, or figure out a way to get Hurrell and Bandura in the same team and both scoring, or I don't know, something. But I think part of it is just there's a huge void left behind by a player that was signed by the champions of top division, and like
Yeah.
that's impossible for them to fill because that's not something that
Definitely.
you can just you can't recreate that in the aggregate like Moneyball, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't sign someone of that level because you've just been relegated.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
so it does make things difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the case of I think Olivia Hurrell was probably a very good like replacement for Hannah Jordan in the sense of like if you're talking about who would you have said for Spartans to go and get, it probably would have been Olivia Hurrell after like keep her in after that her performances last season in SWPL 2. But I don't know, it's also a case of these three teams: Spartans, Queens Park, and Dundee United. underestimating Killy and Bermhizzle in particular coming down, or if it's a case of Killy and Bermhizzle taking a step up, having these three teams, SWPL 2 come down, SWPL 1 come down, and then them two teams going, well, we've missed out on promotion for the past 4 years, really, through other teams being particularly good, whether it's Montrose or Aki's, whoever it's been, and really stepping up, and kind of showing that these bottom three teams from SWPL 1 last year, Killy, are better than, and are objectively been better than for the first kind of 8-game season so far. Because I don't know, Killy also, we talk about their attack. I mean, you talk about Spartans because he had 3 goals this season. Kilmarnock have scored 30 goals this season, which is 9 more than the second best team, which is Thistle, who got 21. So, I mean, Killy in the past, we spoke about a lot about the defence. I think it was a few years back where they had the best defence in the league. And, I mean, it's not as if the defence is bad, still very good, but that front, the Cara Gray in particular, continues to score. Lucy Burns, we spoke about all the time.
Yeah.
Abby Robinson,
Cara Gray is just a cheat code, I think, just in general. Yeah. And one that I feel like Glasgow City maybe can't ignore for much longer in terms of her not playing top division football, which I think is probably going to be, maybe it's something that comes around in January, probably more likely in the next summer. So, whether they get promoted or not, I feel like she's got to be playing top flight football next season from a development point of view. I think kind of like Laura Berry last season at Motherwell, Glasgow City may be looking at it and going, there are a number of teams in SFL 1 in the bottom 5 who can't score and need a striker. Is it an opportunity for her to go in and have half a season playing top flight so we can really see what level she's at, which would be a huge loss to Killy. Jim Chapman, I'm not advocating for this. If you're listening, please don't get angry at me. But I think part of it is, with the Killy Barmouth Thistle thing, I think part of it is just that last season there were 3 teams good enough to go up. And that's the simple fact of it. I think we saw it last season. It was competitive to the last day. Barmouth Thistle didn't quite make it to the last day, but Killy did. We could be living in a world where Killy are in SWPL 1 and have 15 points, and we're not talking about the gap being bigger.
Well, it's whether or not Killy would have done the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing, and that's where obviously we have our frustrations about the restructure in terms of there are 3 teams good enough to get promoted last season. The 3 teams that have gone down haven't blown everyone away, but we're still talking about the gap between the leagues being too big, and I find that I just find it a bit incomprehensible in terms of you look at Dundee United drawing with Livingston, and it's like, well, the gap. If that's the result, the gap can't be that big.
I don't think there is a gap between probably 8th in SWPL 1 and 4th or 5th in SWPL 2, to be honest with you.
And I think that's where you go. 2 leagues of 12 would maybe be a more sensible idea. I know the game load is the issue there, especially for the SWPL 2 teams, who obviously need to find an extra however many match days that is.
And the aim is to reduce these amount of 11-0s in SWPL 1.
Yeah,
but the solution to that isn't to just have less games. The solution to that is it's not work. The solution is to improve the teams.
Having fewer teams hasn't done that. If anything, it's made it worse. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't. That's what I mean by 2 leagues of 11, and then maybe you go 2 automatic promotion relegation spaces instead of just 1 at a playoff, and you just go. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And then you do the same in SWPL 2. So 2 teams come up from the regional leagues instead of there being a playoff there as well. Which maybe then that sort of forces teams to get a grip a wee bit, because there is real jeopardy. Because I think the bottom of SWPL 2, the issue probably is then obviously Stirling Uni are on 0 points.
Yes,
East Fife are on 1 point. It's not like there's a depth of quality there that is, you're probably just pushing more one-sided results into that league. But it's difficult because of that. But yeah, I mean, as I say, Kelly's attack is ridiculous, just ridiculous. Their defense is also really good. I think that's where they've got the balance right in terms of, like Ailey Martin pushing up, or Taylor McGlashan stepping into midfield, or Lauren McLaughlin stepping in midfield. Like they've got the balance right in terms of taking the risk and letting some of their control go to get the most out of their goal scoring and to make sure that they've got the right balance. Maybe they've gone a little bit too far the other way, you could say, based on their goals against, but they've only dropped 2 points in 8 games, and that is stupid. Glasgow City have dropped 2 points in 9 as well. Like both of those records are just mental. But to do it, so consistently with basically the same team, I think Kelly's big benefit. I think partly the idea of like, oh, revenge, like this is Kelly revenge tour, but also they've always had a young squad, and this is those players that we were talking about as being some of the best in SWPL 2 when they were 16, now being 18. Which is like still they are still children. Like they're still in high school, but they're like better. They're 2 years better.
But
than
you
they
can
were
tell there's a lot
before.
more like confidence around them. Like,
like
I think
Lucy Burns in particular, for example, there's a bit more consistency there. There's a bit more final product maturity in terms of the end.
I think that comes from this few seasons
games.
of. I think it's like a confidence and a swagger thing within them of like them being like, oh no, I am. Like at 16, you think you're really good and maybe you're a bit like raw and stuff, but you maybe don't feel that you're part of it. Whereas now you're like, no, I'm the shit. So
that's why I mean with Lucy Burns with Cara Gray as well. You saw it quite a lot. You saw quite a lot of like 2 years ago. They would maybe try and take on a fullback when they shouldn't, or they would have a shot when they should have passed and stuff. Now they're not doing that. No. Now they are passing it. Now they're making the right decision, and it's like that's really scary from an SWPL 2 opposition standpoint, but also just generally from like how they could develop into the future. And they've got Killie have got such a good core, like a good squad in terms of the makeup of players and personalities there. And I think that is, I'm not saying that Spartans don't, but I think that's something that they have a real benefit of with those young players, because those young players are getting probably some of the best guidance in both leagues. Like you can easily say that there are players that you probably don't want young players to take traits from across SWPL 1 and 2, but all the experienced players in Kelly's team, you're like, take everything from them, because they're also so great. And it's just a shame there's no highlights. There's obviously the goal clips.
It was a goal clip. So we're going to see more highlights though.
That's where I do appreciate the goal clips. The Killie goal in this game is a little weird. I don't really understand why they passed it across goal twice. But
funny.
Ended in the net.
Yeah. Killie are very good, and another nice place to stop this podcast, I think. Keep looking out for Killie. 2 kind of runaway leaders in our leagues this season, City and Killie, but both playing incredible football, so keep an eye on both of them. If you don't already, make sure you're following us on all of our social media channels at sYourTouch. Substack articles coming soon. We'll be back next week, chat about international break. Hopefully positive stories from SWPNT, but
it's not
who knows?
Debut hat trick against Morocco. We will be there.
But anyway, I've been Peter.
Everybody go tweet at Scotland national team.
Yeah,
call up Ellis.
Yeah.
Just go. Everyone go spam that.
Yeah, hopefully that happens. But yeah, I've been Peter. That's been Matt, and maybe Ellis Notley scores. So anyway, see you all next week. Bye.
She won't get called up.